Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PTV World. I'm Ahmed Nawaz. Today we rip off the mask of a so-called foolish state that proclaims itself as the largest democracy in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we expose a state that has not only state-sponsored terrorism globally, but has also been exposed for false flag operations. Ladies and gentlemen, a reckless, warmongering and morally bankrupt state, India, under the iron grip of the BJP's Hindutva regime. India is no longer a danger to its own minorities, but also a threat to stability of South Asia and beyond. False flag operations like Pahalgam to the targeted assassinations on foreign soil and a rising tide of religious extremism, New Delhi is hell-bent on writing a dangerous new chapter in state-sponsored terrorism. While the world looks away, Modi's India sharpens its weapons of war, of propaganda and of lies. But not today, ladies and gentlemen, because this hour we confront the truth. We expose the hypocrisy and call out the cancer of Hindutva policies that are turning South Asia into a battlefield. Today we expose not only these false flag operations, but how the whole balance of the region of South Asia and beyond is now a threat due to these fascist policies of the BJP Hindutva-led regime. I'm joined with my panelists who would of course in this hour be exposing these lies and will be bringing the truth not only in front of the entire world, but also trying that sense prevails in the minds of those who believe in falsehood and who believe in lies as well. We of course carry out this discussion. First of all, we're very honored to be joined by the chairman of the Kashmir Institute of International Relations, Mr. Altaf Hussain Wani. Assalamu alaikum, Wani sir. How are you, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. I'm also very honored to be joined by Defense Analyst, Air Vice Marshal retired Ijaz Malik Saab, who joins us. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you, sir?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us as well. Wani sir, I think the whole world right now asks this question, as every Pakistani, and it's not only a statement anymore, it has become a truth that is right there in front of the world. Would you like to answer this question, that has India now become a threat not only in South Asia but to the balance of the entire world?
Yeah, once we used to tell to international community that there is a rise in saffron terror in India, but world would not listen to it. They would say it's a domestic problem, it's not cross any way affecting their economies or their communities or anything. But now for last so many years, world has come to know that this saffron terror is not only threat to the minorities in India, but to the people living around India and also at the global level. And we have seen this menace in Canada, we have seen this menace in UK, we have seen in US, we have seen in Australia and beyond, and the people have been, these people have been arrested at many of the places, found in extraterritorial terrorism activities. They have been killing the Sikh, these activists, and also Kashmiri activists around the globe. They have been creating a surveillance, those raw agents, and also the RSS BJP. What we currently see, that the Indian government, the Indian regime, which is political dispensation, which is currently running the India, as this year is they observe the 100th year of the RSS, that it was founded in September. They will be founding, and they have created an atmosphere in India and beyond of this Hindu rhetoric. And now they, after taking the refuge in the Pulwama incident, which is a false Pahalgam incident, which is a false flag operation by them, because Pahalgam is a place which is always heavily under security threat and surveillance.
Absolutely.
So it was not possible such an act can happen over there, but it happened there. And then after a few minutes, the Indian government, when they came to know about it, the script was already ready, and they started calling it an act from Pakistan and Pakistani-backed militants, and themselves named an organization which is
absolutely
nowhere
there. AVM Ijaz Sahab, as Wani Sahab mentions it as well, that the script seems to be very Bollywood type, you know, the things that we are often seeing from this part. But it seems to be desperation. It seems to be desperation from a state that is not only known for false flag operations, but as I mentioned in my introduction, that has been exposed globally now as a state sponsor of terrorism, assassinations on foreign soil, targeting political leaders who have not agreed to BJP policies. Do you also feel that there is desperation now, which is adamant and evident in front of the world because of their failed policies within their own state?
Yes, the script is not new. It has been repeated over and over again ever since 2000, and we have seen what was done post a false flag operation on the state parliament, and then Pulwama, and now this Pahalgam incident. But this time around, this was very hastily conducted. The timelines were so hurriedly done that it turned out to be a failure. They created a super media hype which they could not manage. It as per plan, they were supposed to follow timelines at spread over 24 to 36 hours, but those things probably they were presumed not hours but minutes. So everything was done in the blink of an eye. The people were so-called attackers were identified. Their travel history to Pakistan was made public. The FIR was launched, and everything that is now well known to the entire our media, of course, the world media. But the question is, what actually went wrong, which needs to be talked. That is the assessment of Indian leadership that was incorrect. Their assessment was that global environment is in their favor. The timings were very lucrative for them, as if the Vice President of United States was visiting. The Prime Minister Modi himself was in Saudi signing multi-billion-dollar deals. So they thought that any incidents would give them a global media limelight. And they will then catch up on various tickers from that, and then whatever they could blow up stories every minute as a breaking news. But somehow this proved wrong. So it is more, it's not a failure of planning, it is failure of execution, which has been exaggerated or multiplied by their leadership's assessment of the ground situation.
Absolutely. This almost domestic chaos, Wani Sahab, as we call it already, their failed policies in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the way the people have turned against them, even going back to Article 370 and the revocation of it as well. Now the very people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir have actually raised concerns of failure of intelligence and failure of the most heavily fortified military zone in the world under occupation.
It's not only the people of Kashmir or the people of Indian occupied Kashmir. We also know what the Indians are doing with us and how they craft it. But now its own intelligence officers, former intelligence officers, its military officers, and the people in the sand people in Indian public, they do ask the questions to the Indian government as to why this happened, as to how it happened. When you have so much of CRPF there, you have a rapid force there, and everything was there, so how it happened. So the thing now, we see the frustration in the Indian government is that they wanted to take the advantage of certain things, as Malik said already, that the US Vice President was there, Modi was on the Saudi Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's visit, and Waqf bill agitation was happening in India, all over the India, and all these things were there. And at the midst of that, we know that India wanted to take advantage, another advantage which India wanted to take, that was that they saw that Israel is going without accountability. There is no accountability of Israel of its war crimes in Gaza, and so we can replicate that in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. which they did after, because the Indian top leaderships, their revenge policy, their revenge, take the revenge, and then the hate speech by the Indian leaders, and then we could see the attacks on Kashmiri students and businessmen throughout India, and then India army taking revenge of the people of Kashmir, destroying nearly in 1 week they destroyed nearly 24 houses in different locations of Kashmir, just asking the people that the son of this house or that they are suspected militants and we are going to blow it out. So they try to create the fear in Kashmir, and during these days 2 extrajudicial killings in Kashmir, they happened this time because one person, Altaf Lali, who was killed because his brother is in jail. Altaf Lali was called to the police station in the evening, and the next day his family was asked to come to the police station and recognize the dead body. It is
Brutally
Altaf
murdered.
brutally murdered and branded as the
Absolutely.
hardcore terrorist. And the same happened with the Ghulam Muhammad Pare, who was also a social activist. He was also dragged off his house and killed in front of her mother and family. So we have seen this so much frustration in Indian army, and nearly 5,000 people were rounded up, and they are using this anti-terror laws which they have framed, which are already in contravention to the international human rights laws. But using those laws, they are snatching the properties of the people. They are doing everything. They are replicating what the Israel has done in Gaza. The Indians are doing the same thing.
Absolutely. The model seems to be same. Now, of course, we've been joined by defense analyst, Brigadier retired SYED Jagir. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Welcome to our transmission.
Thank you very much, player.
Right, Brigadier Saab, what would you like to highlight now? The mask has been ripped off. It's not only global embarrassment on a political level, but also to a so-called state that has probably a fond idea of calling itself a military might or an intelligence agency which stands out exposed as probably an outfit which is a terror sponsor outfit.
Absolutely. There is no doubt in that. I think the previously India and its allies, despite having all known this fully, had been turning a blind eye towards the activities of India. India, they have, as you were saying, and my colleague Analyst, which has been told that so much of human rights violation in Kashmir has been done by India, that even the human eye cannot see those terrible events. You cannot even read those. People are, in army, what has done over there, and the free hand given by the Modi government to the Indian army operating in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. It's shame on the part of the Modi government and the Indians as a whole that they are having known this thing, seen this thing through the print and the media and the electronic media. They are still, following the Modi's path, and the irresponsible reporting of the event, concocted event, and which have been unproportionately blown up by the Indian media, that is very, very surprising for the rest of the world. And you have seen that India has not been able to convince the world that this false flag operation which he has done, which it has done, and the consequences now which the Indian Army, Indian Armed Forces as a whole, and Indian general public in general, which are facing, is really surprising. like the firing of the Indian Northern Command's chief, the incoming chief who is supposed to be a deputy chief of Army Staff Strategy, who has taken over the Northern Command. In his interaction with the officers, he was totally embarrassed because of the question posed by the Indian officers to him. And the rumors are that the Indian Air Chief, Deputy Air Chief also is going to be a casualty very soon. So this is absolutely absolutely obnoxious that having done all these things, the Modi and his government is still, trying to frame the events for its for their own favor, take the political advantage from this, because the Bihar state elections are very near, and we will see that we know that the Indian BJP government is in a coalition government in Bihar and not done very well.
Brigadier Saab, I'm going to come back to you. We've been told we're just going towards a short break, but stay tuned. Of course, we'll continue with this exclusive transmission. Welcome back to the Situation Room. Now, Wani Saab, as has been discussed before this break as well, AVM Saab also mentioned that seems to be the same script. Brigadier Saab also mentioned that once again seems to be a drama right before an elections to win votes. How long can this jingoism continue? How long? Because I think it has come to a time where the own Indian people would not be fooled by such mockery anymore.
This is true, but the Indian media, the kind of Indian media is present there, and the way they create the war hysteria and they create the hate against Muslims and against Pakistan especially, that has been a very good thing for the BJP. BJP has won elections because of that. We thought that the current elections which were held, in the latest elections which were held in India, it was expected that in these elections the BJP will come with their election manifesto of development and other things. But when the first phase of elections was over, they came to know that the people have not voted for them, and then we could see the Prime Minister himself and the other ministers, they came with the same mantra. They came against Pakistan, against terrorism, against Kashmir, and all these things were discussed during the election rallies, and that paved way for them to have some respite to win the elections, although they did not get that what they were expecting, that this time we will get 400 plus. They did not get. Having said that, but they know that this thing is selling in bits and pieces. It is selling. Now the election is in Bihar. They know it will sell there, so they played it for that. And along with that, they time and again, by accusations against Pakistan, against Kashmiri freedom struggle, they want to buy the international sympathy. That is the other thing. The international sympathy. Look, we are under terrorism. We face terrorism. Otherwise, we know, and the world knows now, India is exporting terrorism. Indian terrorism, which we in Pakistan well know, Pakistan, how the Indian government is, or Indian agencies are spreading terror in Pakistan, in different parts of Pakistan. We won't discuss that, but that's on record.
On record,
that's
yes.
happening. But you see currently those sand voices in India who try to question the Modi media, who try to question the Indian, the media of India and the leadership, the BJP leadership and the security apparatus of India, who try to question them, all those channels in India, they were closed, they were shut down.
Yes.
Likewise, The Pakistani channels were shut down. The YouTube channels of Pakistani,
Yes, they're banned.
they are banned. But the channels of those Indians who are there, who questioned them, those were banned over there, so that the Indian public should not come to know what actually is happening behind the scenes, what our government is doing, what for they are doing it, because the other people were exposing them that the government did it deliberately for this purpose, for this purpose, for this purpose. So they don't want that the people of India should know the facts. So they shut all those. And the professors and some of the people who spoke to media, unfortunately, those people are banned under Terrorist Activities Act. Though they went there. Not to talk of Kashmir. In Kashmir, nobody dares to talk. Everybody who talks, he is being taken away and put behind the bars, as you rightly saw in this breaking news, how they bulldoze the houses of the people, how they do it. So they are at impact. They want just that, they want vote. The BJP has been working to establish its Hindutva agenda in India by hook or by crook. But that is how they have done so far, from Ram Mandir to this incident. We have seen, although we know they lost the seats where the Ram Mandir is built, they were defeated over there. But even then, BJP has this only this argument in their kitty to blame Pakistan, to blame Muslims, so that to cement their Hindutva
and to justify oppression, which I think it has now become a false mantra of trying to justify occupation as well, or oppression at the hands of this fascist regime. But Air Vice Marshal Ijaz Sahab, when we look at this obsession of militarization, leading South Asia into an arms race, I think, like I mentioned, that it's not only a political embarrassment anymore. It's become an embarrassment on the global scale of the intelligence agency and of the military as well. You look at what is happening amongst the ranks. The sacking of one such forces commander is right in front of us. And we've already seen that in the past there have been multiple attempts where we have gotten to know about the squalid conditions in which the armed forces personnel have been living their lives in the barracks of the Indian Army, whether been posted in Kashmir or anywhere else. We've already seen embarrassment at the hands of China of their military. We've also seen the embarrassment that the Air Force has suffered in the recent past as well, and with the failing amount of aircraft that is happening. So this obsession is leading them nowhere.
What you have referred, it pertains to operational or tactical domains where there have been embarrassments to Indian military. But this time there is a very visible disconnect among the political leadership and the military leadership, wherein the government expected and continue to expect their armed forces to perform beyond their capacity. So any sane voices, because militaries, I mean anywhere in the world, they are professional outfits, they are trained, they are groomed to perform certain roles for which they are equipped and well trained. But if you expect them to perform beyond their roles, so obviously that is their moral and constitutional obligation to apprise their political masters that this certain things can be done, but certain things cannot be achieved. So for example, they are relying, if you recall after 27th February incidents where they were completely knocked down. So Indian Prime Minister tried to capitalize, and he said if we had Rafales, this wouldn't have happened. So they mustered funds and they got Rafales. But now he was thinking that probably having Rafale would tilt the
balance of power
in their favor. So based on that assumption, he came up, or their leadership in general, they came up with a wish list that what all they can do. But that was neutralized by the very clear and categorical statement of our air chief, who said that this time around we will not be exercising restraint like we did in post Balakot strike in Operation Swift Retort, but this time we will take the combat to Indian airspace. So this very clear message of an offensive, the moment they dare taking any initiative or misadventure, this has, put a, pressure on Indian Air Force leadership, and then the, fault line started to appear.
Absolutely. And AVM Sahab, I think it's very pertinent that had there been any substance in this false flag operation, had there been any 1% chance of them being a military or might or an air force with superiority, they would have done it already. But we haven't seen anything like that.
Exactly. If they had ever had, any, confirmed and assured ascendancy over us post 71, they could have done it many times.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
While they attempted, limited, misadventures, but they could never do that. And one more point I would like to highlight regarding their, assessment failure on the top leadership. One is on this, of course, military front, and other is on diplomatic front. They thought that they have a tacit approval of United States, and whatever they do, they will have backing. But they were shocked once American Secretary of State, he initially, portrayed being a neutral, and American President also said that both countries are close to me, and I wish that they exercise restraint. But then comes the statement of American Secretary of State, and he says that it is a terrorist activity, so you must do proper investigation and hold people accountable who have done it.
Absolutely.
So there was no, even very minor or on the periphery mentioning or any gesturing which could indicate that they were American government is implicating Pakistan in this. So this is something I think still Indian leadership has to come out of that shock.
Absolutely. But you mentioned a very critical point, sir, on this juncture. I'd obviously take Brigadier Shahid Saab to comment on this as well. Brigadier Saab, as AVM Saab mentions as well, that the disconnect that has been witnessed this time between the military leadership and the political leadership in India, what does this signify to the whole world? And especially on a case where you also mentioned a couple of decisions that have been taken are now a global embarrassment not only on the political scale but also on the military side as well, of this obsession of being a military might in South Asia. All right, we're having a technical issue. Maybe we'll try to get Brigadier Saab back online with us as well. But all of this put in a nutshell now, Wani Saab, we must also articulate how the world has responded to this as well. As AVM Saab rightly put it, that they expected a very staunch response in their favor, which never happened. And like I said, that had they been able to have any substance in this, and there already have been outcries of investigation and where obviously Pakistan may assist as well, but the fact still remains that at this moment in time, even right now as we stand on this day and date, on this hour, there is nothing concrete on their end.
You see, when there is nothing like that, what they will say? They have to accuse you, they accused you. But what they thought at that time, that as they will get the international sympathy and there will be more and more implication of Pakistan in it, and so as well as the Kashmir freedom struggle will be also implicated. But to their surprise, we could see that Kashmir came to limelight again. Each and every opinion maker around the globe who wrote on it, he said it's because of the unresolved nature of the Kashmir dispute. India thought to it that they abrogated Article 370, 35A, and they had a solution to Kashmir. But now they have realized that it's not solution to Kashmir. India itself can do anything in Kashmir and made a Kashmir a laboratory for that. So international observers also said that Kashmir, it is because of, if it is done by any other, if it is not a false flag operation, if it is done by any other body. So it is because of the unresolved nature of Kashmir dispute. If Kashmir had been resolved, there would not be such incidents in Kashmir. Next, India thought that India will go away with it, as did Israel. So India will have the world backing. We could see the West remained totally impartial in it. West did not talk on it. We could see a huge diplomacy by Arabs and others calling on the Pakistan and India to have restraint, understanding on that, and so did US and others also. They did not favor them. So this was a diplomatic, also India got a diplomatic defeat on this point of time. But we have to continue because Indians know they articulate things very differently. So our diplomacy has so far done very good. Our all quarters of diplomacy have done so very good in this regard. But they have to keep a vigil at every type and keep on informing the international audience, international players about what is happening, what actually India is trying to manipulate, what they want to get out of it.
Pakistan has been very vocal on this as well. Wani Saab is absolutely right. I think if you look at Pakistan's diplomatic efforts, Pakistan has been very vocal of the fact that this state sponsorship of terrorism by India and of course these subversive activities of creating instability in South Asia will bring the region on something which is known as instability, not only which would be limited to this region of South Asia, but can even go beyond as well. But AVM Saab, I must once again request you to shed light on the last 24 hours that we have seen. Our information minister has been very vocal in his interview to CNN. Mr. Ata Tarar rightly put it that we have credible intelligence of any misadventure that might take place, and obviously as you mentioned that the repercussions of those would not only be limited anymore. It is now Pakistan that has made it clear to the international community as well that the onus will now lie on India of anything that happens.
After we went nuclear, we had declared that there is no room for any military confrontation between these two countries, because its effect would be devastating for both. The kind of enormous weaponization both sides have after in the nuclear domain, and we have always been advocating resolution of all problems through composite dialogue. It's India which has never responded. And another failure I would like to highlight, that for any such plans or any such operational planning, there are certain basic assumptions. Like they assume that international community would be with them, Pakistan is diplomatically isolated, so they can do anything with impunity in this area. Another is a basic assumption went drastically wrong, and that was that they thought that Pakistan society is politically polarized, it is fragmented, and this is a time that the forces of Pakistan may not have that massive support which they traditionally have.
Absolutely.
But to their horror, what we have seen immediately after this attack and Indian acquisitions, the entire nation came together, be it the military leadership, be it the government, be it the political parties, and all walks of life, people from all walks of life, media, they are media people, they are doing a wonderful job.
Absolutely. Factual reporting, sir.
Because, and their job is easy, because it is very easy
Right, sir.
to, without any briefing, without any script, to talk once you are on the right side.
Absolutely.
Once you have facts, data and
Right, sir.
supporting evidence in your favor.
Right, sir. Thank you very much, AVM Saab, and thank you very much, Wani Saab, for joining us in this transmission in
Thank
this
you.
hour of Situation Room. And I think very rightly put by our panelists as well, that the fact still remains that the people of Pakistan stand shoulder to shoulder with their military and political leadership in defending this nation known to us as home, as Pakistan. No more shall these false propaganda be propagated throughout the entire world. On that note, we say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us.